So if I want to graph 3, 90, find my angle first, 90's here. I'm going to go at 1, 2, 3. The third ring. This is point. I'm going to label this A. I'm going to call this point B. 6, pi over 6. I'm going to go pi over 6 and go out to the what ring? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm right there on the edge. Call this point C. It's negative pi over 3. So normally pi over 3 being quad 1, it's going to be quad 4. Go to the pi over 3 family member in quad 4 and go out to ring 1. Alright, here my theta and my r are both negative. Negative pi over 4 would be quad 4. But since my r is negative, instead of being quad 4, it's going to be quad what? 2. Straight across. So I find the pi over 4 family in quad 2 and go out to the third ring. Are there any questions on how to graph those 4 points? So your first 6 tomorrow in your quiz will be dealing with that. Now, I'm going to read the directions here. It says, convert the given polar to rectangle. So if I'm going to rectangle, I need an x and a y. So I got to think, what 2 formulas give me an x and a y? X equals r cosine theta. Y equals r sine theta. X equals 3 cosine of pi over 2. Y equals 3 sine pi over 2. What's cosine of pi over 2? 0 times 3 is? Sine of pi over 2 is? 1 times 3 is? So my ordered pair is 0, 3. Number 11, x equals 6 times the cosine of 150, bless you. Y equals 6 sine of 150. 150 is in quad 2. Your cosine will be negative. It is related to the 30 degree family. So that would be a negative root 3 over 2. Six times 1/2. Can I cross this 2 and 6 out? So that gives me negative 3 root 3. Y equals 3. So my ordered pair would be negative 3 root 3 and 3. All right, number 13. X equals negative 2 cosine of 135. Y equals negative 2 sine of 135. 135 is in quad 2, so the cosine will be negative root 2 over 2. Sine will be root 2 over 2. These 2's cancel out. A negative times a negative is root 2. These 2 will leave a negative 1, so y equals negative root 2. So my ordered pair will be root 2 and negative root 2. Are there any questions on how to do those particular problems? Those are pretty easy. Now, next we're converting from the given rectangular to polar. So if I'm going from rectangular to polar, I need a what? Good morning. I need a r and a what? Theta. Okay, so my r, first of all, before we go there, we need to determine what quadrant that's in. What's 1 and negative 1? What quadrant would that be in? Quad 4. Very good, quad 4. And we're going to talk about how that plays an effect in a minute. All right, so now r equals the square root of x squared plus y squared. 1 squared plus negative 1 squared is square root of 2. Do you agree? Okay. Now, tangent of theta equals negative 1 divided y divided by x. It's negative 1. Which family gives you a tangent value of negative 1? Pi over 4. Now, I want the pi over 4 that's in quad 4. What pi over 4 is in quad 4? 7 pi over 4. So that would be, here we go, square root of 2 and 7 pi over 4. Did y'all get that? Number 17. They're both positive. What quadrant is that coming from? First. R equals square root of 3 squared plus 1 squared. Well, we'll have to square root of 3 and square. Cancel out. 3 plus 1 is? Which is 2. So R is 2. Now, tangent of 1 divided by square root of 3. Well, if I have 1 divided by square root of 3, what process must I do? Rationalize the denominator. Now, rationalize the denominator there would yield what? Root 3 over 3. Root 3 over 3. What family gives you a tangent value of root 3 over 3? Pi over 6. What pi over 6 family members in quad 1? Very good. So that's your polar coordinate. Are there any questions on that? So tonight you do 2 through 18 even, okay? That'll be part of your homework. So that reviews you for your quiz, okay? Is everybody good? Alright. Now, I want you to turn to page 3. So we've been converting coordinates. Now we're going to convert equations. Alright. At the top of your paper, you see a toolbox of formulas. You would need to know those formulas for the test. You will not have a note card. Most of them you already learned. Okay. You know this one, but you see how this is a result of this. If I work backwards, wouldn't that be r squared equals x squared plus y squared? You see how those two are related? You need to know both of those, okay? We already talked about these two. And you need to know tangent theta equals y over x. You already know that. So those are the major formulas. It's not hard to remember those, but you need to know those by heart, okay? Write them at your top of your quiz, test, whatever you need to do, and refer to them. That is your toolkit for this unit, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is talk about how to convert rectangular equations to polar equations. Now, how do you know something's in rectangular form? It's an equation that has what in it? X and y. If it's an equation that has x and y in it, it's known as a rectangular equation. You're trying to go to polar equation. How do you know something's polar? When your x and y is gone, you got at least an r of theta, okay? Does everybody understand that? So I'm going to kind of teach this to you. That box up there might confuse you, so we're just going to start with number 1. It says convert each equation into polar form. Okay. What's keeping it from being polar form right now that's in there? That y. That y. We need to do something with that y. Okay, this is what you got to think. What's y equal to here? Can you not just substitute that in for y? Isn't y equal to that? So y equals and then you want to get your r by itself, okay? That's what it's put in separable terms. So what do I need to divide both sides by? Now I want r to be by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by. When sine theta goes to the denominator like that, how could you write that? 2 what? 2 cosecant. Do you see that? 2 over sine. Isn't 1 over sine equal to cosecant? Does everybody understand that? That's my answer right there. So I'll replace that y with r sine theta, and then get your r by itself. Okay? Number 2, I want to get rid of that x. So what am I substituting there? Now I want to get that r by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by what? So r equals negative 2 secant theta is your equation. And you know you're done because you got your x and y gone. They're gone. This is not on your quiz tomorrow. This first part is pretty easy. Now, 1 and 2 are very similar, and then 3 and 4 is very similar. X squared plus y squared. Remember, you want those values gone. You want those variables to disappear. What formula over here in this toolbox chart I got right here that you could easily do something quick?
X squared plus
Y squared equals what? R squared. I want you trying to find the quickest way to get rid of it. Isn't that equal to R squared? So I can just put R squared equals 1. R squared equals 1. Now, I want my r to be by itself. Yes, it's by itself, but you also don't want that square to be there. So how do I get rid of that square? Take the what? When you take the square root of something, you got to put plus or minus what? 1. So your equation there is r equals plus or minus 1.
So we just find r, not theta.
Yeah. As long as your x and y is gone. Now here's this r squared equals 10. When you take the square root, r equals plus or minus square root of 10. I can't break 10 down, so that's my answer. So that's the ways that you convert rectangular to polar. Are there any questions? That's pretty easy, wasn't it? See what you think. Good. All right, so the next learning target is converting polar to rectangular. So if I'm going from polar to rectangular, what's got to disappear? R and theta. Okay? You got to at least have an x or y in there. You can have both of them. You can just have one of them. You just got to get rid of r and theta. So number 7. Now this is. Now you have to think outside the box on this one down here. Those are the easy ones. These are not hard, but you got to think outside the box. And I want you to brainstorm in your group right now what you think you can do mathematically, legally can do for number 7. Talk. Very good. I think I heard what you said, but I heard the correct things that you did. Come on, Mason. Share with your group what your mathematical minds think. Without giving me a look like that.
I don't know what it's thinking.
Oh. Derek's ready to share what he's got to share in just a second. All right, who wants to share what they think? Oh, I heard something good over there. I heard something good over there, Tyler. Good. Okay. So, look, what do you think we got to do here, buddy?
Square the 5, so it's r squared equals 25, and then replace the r squared with that squared plus y squared.
Perfect. That's what you do here. You just square both sides. Remember, what you do, if you do it to one side, you do it to the other side, it's legal. So what you're going to do here is just square both sides. So I'm going to square this. How many talked about this in the group? Raise your hand. Good job. Good job. So that's going to be r squared equals 25. Now replace r with what? R squared with what? That's your answer. Good job. Number 8 is the same concept. I'm going to square both sides. R squared equals 9. So I have x squared plus y squared equals 9. Now, number 9 and 10 are the same type. That's a different type of problem. So I want you to talk about in group what you think you need to do on that one. Remember the concept. What you do to one side, do to the other. That's mathematically legal. Parker, share what your group what you're saying.
I was staring to hear some mathematical conversation.
Very good. I heard something over here, Madison. Keep talking, yes. Thank you. Thank you. All right, share with me. What you think? What do you think? What now? Talk to me about the process of how you're going to get there. I'm not concerned about the answer. What you got to do right now? What do y'all think? Not quite. You're not ready to do that yet. Multiply both sides by what? Nope. Nope. Multiply both sides by what? 8. Nope. R. Very good, because guys, look here. In order to take this sine theta out, don't it need a R with it? So if you multiply both sides by R, you got R sine theta. So you can replace that R sine theta with Y, and this makes this R squared on it. So you can replace it with X squared plus Y squared. So sometimes you just got to multiply both sides by an R. Don't say square because you're not squaring. On this one, you're multiplying both sides by an R. So you get R squared equals R 8 R sine theta. Well, now you can replace this and this with rectangular coordinates. R squared is X squared plus Y squared, and then R sine theta is equal to 8Y, and that is your answer. Is this what you were talking about, Tyler? Is that what you say over there?
No.
So on number 10, you just, okay, what do you need to do to both sides? Multiply both sides by what? R, so you can take that R cosine theta out. So R squared equals negative 6 R cosine theta. So that gives me X squared plus Y squared equals negative 6X. Yes, Orange?
So we would divide like negative 6 or 8 to get like the X and Y values?
No, you're just going to leave it like that. Now, 11 and 12 are different type of problem too. So here's the 3 scenarios you might be presented with. You might square both sides, multiply both sides by R, or you might have one that involves theta. Now, in order to do theta, you're just going to take the tangent of both sides. Tangent of theta equals tangent of pi. You on that phone, Parker? Okay. Tangent theta equals tangent of pi. What's the definition of It's okay. It's okay. Tangent of theta is equal. What's the definition of tangent? We're trying to get to rectangular form. So I know the tangent is defined as y over x. So that's going to take care of that. Y over x. What's the tangent of pi? Negative 1, isn't it? Can I cross and multiply now? There you go. That would be your equation. So you take the tangent of both sides. Okay, I know I can write the definition of tangent in the form of y and x equals, take the tangent and then cross multiply it. Tangent of pi is 0. Thank you. Sorry about that. So that's be 0, so y equals 0. Thank you. Number 12, I'm going to take the tangent of both sides. Tangent of theta is y over x. Tangent of pi over 3 is root 3. And then you just cross multiply y equals root 3 times x. So on this first one, I can convert rectangular equations to polar equations. So I'm going from rectangular to polar. That means I'm getting rid of x and y. You need an r or a theta in there, okay? What we do in the first learning target? I need a hand signal. Okay, the second one, I'm convert from polar to rectangular. Are we good on that one? Okay. Alright, thank you. Now, this is, you can work on your homework. We got 15 minutes to get it done. Page 11, 2 through 18 even, that reviews what we did Thursday. And then page 12, 40 to 50 even, deals with what we did today, okay? So just work on that, you get finished with that before you leave. No, we're not about to walk to the restroom. No, we're not running student services. No, we're not going to the office. We're going to do our homework.